good.
It's good. Let me check. Yes? The sound is coming, it's bringing the speaker. Is it showing?
It's showing as an upcoming event.
Go on.
It's showing that scheduled for 10, scheduled for 10, scheduled for 10:16.
Excellent now. It has started now.
The stream rate is good. I think we should check on another note. Okay, we are good.
We're good, Abi?
Yeah, we are good.
Now, if I put it on the second to show them,
Yeah, we good.
see. So I have to take it off. Are
Play
they ready?
the video of the event. Let's play the video.
Do the event, okay.
What is it?
I don't want it to stop.
You don't want what to stop.
This whole thing is stopping. No, not the video. I'm saying the streaming was stopping. Let me speak one.
get it right. So before we kick off, we'd like everyone to introduce themselves and tell us your name and the media organization you're representing. And yes, then we'll start from there. So let's start from our far right.
Sorry, I didn't hear the platform. News agency.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mariam and I report for Premium Times.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ansuro Abisemi. I'm a journalist with Care.
My name is Comfort Sam. I work with TV System. Good morning, everyone.
So let's
Good morning, all. My name is John Oboit. I report for FRCN Radio Nigeria.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Benga Adewale. I'm a journalist from CFM News Online, Alausa correspondent.
Good morning, all. I'm Neil Yusuf from RSD Newspaper.
RS.
Newspaper. RSD.
Good morning, I'm Ismail Ogunlano, Inspiration FM.
Good morning, everyone. I write for the Telegram newspaper.
Alright, thank you everyone. Good morning. My name is Nancy Oduregu. I'm the Communications Associate for Budget Foundation, and I will introduce the people on the hijack today. To my far left is Mr. Joseph Amena, he's the head of Civic Eye, and followed by Omoyemi Okweyemi. I was wondering why you decided to switch from Yemi.
No, I did, yes.
So Okweyemi Adamolegu, she's Executive Director of Enough is Enough Nigeria, also known as ERE. And then to my immediate left is Gabriel Okelwo, the Country Director of Budget Foundation. So once again, welcome to the Technology New Media Citizens and Governance Press Conference. And this is a journey that started since 2012 through 2016, 2018. It's actually a biannual Pan-African conference where we discuss with stakeholders issues on how new media can better improve cases concerning governance and concerning anything that has to do with citizens involvement and public participation. But as we move on, we'll be having Gabriel Okelwo, the Country Director of Budget, just talk to us and intimate us with the purpose and goal of the particular conference that is happening on Thursday, November 7, 2024, barely 1 month from now. So please, a round of applause as I hand over to Gabriel Okelwo as he tells us more about the TNCG conference.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, members of the press that's already in the room and other participants at this press conference. We thank you for honoring our invitation to be here this morning. This is the press conference, the official press conference for the 2024 edition of the Technology New Media Citizens and Governance Conference. And this is a biannual conference, as mentioned earlier on, and I think for this year 2024, we are glad to also, iterate the trend with the conference with the current trend by adding technology to it. Before now, it used to be New Media Citizens and Governance Conference. And we added technology to it because of the times we live in, seeing also how the political landscape and elections, has evolved over the recent years. Technology, artificial intelligence has become like a critical part of our everyday life now. So that informed the revision of adding technology components to this year's conference. And our goal for this conference is to examine the role and the rise of new media technology on political actions in Africa. And I think that's something to also note, that this is a Pan-African conference, is a Pan-African conversation, not just focus on Nigeria, but the Africa as a continent, and want to be able to see what role is technology, what role is new media playing in the political action in Africa. We also want to be able to assemble professionals, thought leaders, to explore creative ways to positively apply new technology to political actions. And we have seen that, over the last couple of years, we have seen that political action, political integration, participation in democracy, technology has played a very, very critical role in fostering participatory democracy and promoting democracy in Africa. But there is, still a gap for us to fill. And we hope that this year, particularly with the infusion of technology, artificial intelligence into some of the conversation and breakout sessions and plenary sessions that we are going to have at this year's conference, we are going to be able to have robust discussion from different parts of Africa, people sharing their knowledge, sharing their experience on how technology, how artificial intelligence is now playing critical role in our democracy and political action in Africa. But we also want to be able to evaluate elections in Africa, and I think we have a breakout session that is going to be looking at that. Evaluate election in Africa and how to leverage new media to engage government. If we look at the climate here in Nigeria, we'll see that politicians make good use of new media to be able to campaign and sensitize citizens to galvanize votes, and sell themselves. And we have also seen the civil society organizations, we have seen a lot of actions from our side, also using that same platform to empower citizens to leverage new media as a platform to engage, to close the gap between the government and the people. But also there is a gap. There is also gap that artificial intelligence is now coming to play. One of the two that we have, the EIA, Enough is Enough Nigeria, launches the Office of the Citizens Bot, right, on WhatsApp. And I think when we hosted the allocation to local government on it was the first time I tested that bot, and I see what that particular bot can do. So there is a need to harness a lot of this technology to improve, interaction between government and citizens. And lastly, we want to be able to use the platform of the conference to share best practices, what has worked, in different parts of Africa, particularly exploring technology, exploring new media, exploring artificial intelligence. We want to be able to use that to share, experience among ourselves when we come together at the conference. When we look at the lineup of speakers, professionals, thought leaders that we had invited and that have confirmed their invitation for this year's conference, I can tell you that this cut across the whole continent of Africa, from the West Africa to East Africa to Southern Africa. We have guests and we have leaders that have confirmed their participation at this year's conference. So it will interest you to know that the very distinguished that will be delivering the keynote address at this year's Technology, New Media, Citizens and Governance Conference is our own very erudite Professor Yemi Oshibajo, the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In addition to that, we are going to also be playing host to Dr. Bosun Tijani, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Nigeria. In the same vein, we are going to be having the Deputy Minister of Communications and Digital Technology of South Africa also present at this year's conference. We have Mutemi Kiama, the co-chair of African Rising Movement Coordinating Collective, Kenya. will also be at this year's conference. We have Mr. Mohamed Farhat, the UN Secretary General panel on artificial intelligence from Egypt, is also going to be part of this year's conference. We have other, distinguished guests from Liberia. From Liberia, we have an American, but that works with STEARS, open data, that is also going to be part of this year's conference. We have, guests from Ethiopia that is going to be part of this year's conference. I mentioned earlier on, aside from the Deputy Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, we have, Associate Professor from the Witt School of Governance that is also going to be part of this year's conference. So we anticipate that this year's conference is going to take is going to be a real platform to galvanize conversation, and not just conversation, also actions that will lead to how well we are able to use and leverage technology and new media to promote our democracy in Nigeria, and improve elections and generally improve political actions. I believe my other colleague on this item will be sharing more detail about the conference with us as we proceed. Thank you very much for being here once again, and I will hand over at this point. Thank you.
It's a round of applause for you. So I don't know how to match that voice tempo. It was really vocal, and that was a very robust overview. Thank you so much, Gabriel Okelwo. And if you notice the fine lineup of speakers we have from South Africa, West Africa, East Africa, we have from all aspects properly represented, making it, of course, a Pan-African conference, and one you don't want to miss. Now, many issues concerning governance and politics in Africa would no doubt have been swept under the carpet, except for the role that new media and technology is playing. So it not just bridges the gap between the government and citizens now, we also carry citizens along, make them participate fully from wherever they are. Of course, they can know what's happening in governance, they can engage, ask the necessary question, and of course hold their elected representative accountable on issues concerning election, governance, and like you said, political action. So not to waste much of our time, we'll be moving on to Koyemi Adeomele, the Executive Director of Enough is Enough Nigeria. Now she's going to give us a more comprehensive overview of what the program is going to highlight, issues concerning some of the breakout sessions, some of the focus topics that we're going to be discussing come November 7th, 2024. November 28th.
Today is 7th.
Today is 7th.
That's true. November 28th, 2024. So please, a round of applause for Yemi Adeomele.
Thank you very much, Nancy, and thank you everyone for joining us. As Nancy said, Gabriel's tempo is quite is high, but I shall try. And I'm very excited because EIE has been the constant in the conference since 2012. And this is 12 years later that we've been doing this, and it's certainly an important conversation. It started, as Gabriel said, as new media and governance. We added citizens along the way, and this year we've added technology. And it's exciting, that evolution, because it shows the different parameters that have come in. You can't have new media and governance without citizens. And now in 2024, you can't have it without technology. And when the planning committee came up with the theme, technology, the present and future of political action in Africa, that was to intro the addition of technology to the name of the conference and in the light of its importance. And what we decided to do in laying it out, initially we played with a 2-day conference, but as we all know, Nigeria is not smiling. So we received this and decided to do a 1-day conference. And in doing that, we collapsed what we thought. Initially, it was meant to be a lot of focus on the demand side, and then another day spent on the supply side. But we decided to merge it into one day. And so our first panel, the title is The Intersection of Technology, New Media, and Political Action in Africa, Demand and Supply Perspectives. And the way we think about demand and supply is that demand is how citizens place a demand on governance outcomes. And the supply side is how government uses technology to to supply governance. So either e-governance platforms, we're advocating for electronic voting, for example. You can, in Nigeria, you can go online and move your polling unit. So how is government using technology? And that's what the first panel will look at. And the core of that first panel is to get government officials and also citizens side so they can have a conversation. As Gabriel said, Nigeria's Minister of Communications and Digital Economy will be there. The South African Deputy Minister of Communications will also be there. We have invited the Ghanaian minister as well, but elections in Ghana are December 7th. So we're not quite sure she'll be able to make it, but if she can make time, it would be good to have her. And then Mohamed Farhat as well, since looking at the role of artificial intelligence. As with everything technology, there's a good and the bad side, so we hope to have that conversation. And then we have a segment that I'm particularly excited about that focuses on Nigeria. So 25 years of democracy in Nigeria in the Fourth Republic. And so we're looking at the demand side, from Radio Kudirat in the 1993 Abiola days, all the way to TikTok and AI that we're using now in 2024. How are citizens using those platforms to demand good governance? Radio Kudirat was underground, they didn't have an office, but you could hear it, and they were broadcasting and keeping people abreast of what was happening in the fight to return Nigeria to democracy. 1999 we came, then we started using Facebook, and then Twitter became, the Twitter streets became where people fought wars. And now TikTok is making it easy to share videos, to educate. So that promises to be a very interesting panel. And we're hoping Lagos State will join us. We've invited them to partner with us on the supply side. And this is a government that has a e-governance platform where citizens are meant to be able to complain and get results. We've profiled them in the past when we did social media week, and we're hoping that the Office of Citizen Engagement will join us to provide the supply side. We don't have a confirmation on that yet, but we're hoping that they will be able to join us. And then after that panel, we'll have 2 breakout sessions, one on present realities and future possibilities, basically how are people using technology now. And then the other panel will look at emerging technologies for enhanced governance and electoral integrity in Africa. Again, the supply side. How can we make this better? So the plenary has everybody in the room, the panelists talk, and in the breakout sessions, it's more in-depth. So a demand side breakout session, a supply side breakout session for more in-depth conversation. We go to lunch, we come back from lunch, and we have a secondary panel that has everybody in the room, but in this panel, we'll inject a bit of the private sector. Because from Facebook to TikTok to Twitter, they're all tools created by private sector. So how do they see their roles in this matrix? Even the internet that we use, be it Starlink, Main One, MTN, all of them private sector bodies. And SIPE is partnering with us on that plenary. And then we have a very fun way to end the day in partnership with TASC. TASC is a communications media agency started by Jude Abaga, more popularly known as MI. And so in the work that EIE and budgets do, sometimes it's difficult to communicate to citizens the importance of being engaged. But we find that with content creators and skit makers, they can sometimes make governance content more engaging, more appealing. So for that segment, we're partnering with TASC to have people, pitch. We will give them a topic, and they will come and pitch to the audience how to make it. So before we started, we were talking about local government elections. So for people, they know whatever. But if someone presents it in a way that's exciting, people might engage. So TASC is partnering with us. They will bring in judges. So the judge can be Mr. Macaroni, the judge can be MI, the judge can be anybody. So we'll find out who the judges are. We'll have a panel of 5 judges. They will grade the skits, and then we'll have a prize for the top 2 skit makers. And then, as Gabriel said, Dr. Tncg, our federal minister, will then give closing remarks. And we chose him to give closing remarks because we thought he's in the best position to connect the dots. So Bosun has sat on the civil society side. He is an academic. He has a PhD. He worked in private sector. He's now in government. So in pulling all these elements together, we thought he was in best position or best suited because he has worn all those hats. He will not be speaking from theory. He'll be speaking from practical experience. And with that, we will close the day. So the venue is also very accessible and we're very excited. It's a fun venue in Bagada. It's called The Zone. It's by UPS. And so people can readily access it and we're very excited about that. So thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much for that. That was also comprehensive. And before we take questions from the media, because I'm sure we have a couple of questions that you want to be addressed. As possible at the same time. Many people know that, okay, you can communicate things about governance, things about politics, things about election in the most simple way, just as simple as a skit. And we have many skit makers out there, so which just to reiterate the partnership with Task and the many creatives that will be coming into the room that day. All right, thank you so much. So if we have any question from anyone, the media people present, I know you have burning issues. We're not so burning as the one we addressed on that day. But the ones that you want addressed immediately, please let's just have it now. Thank you very much. So we have premium times in the room, we have the cable, we have the nation. Yes. Is there any clarity you would like to seek regarding the conference? Okay, so alright, so let's have it then. We have everyone else. Thank you.
My name is Benga Adewale. I'm a journalist from CFM News Online, Alausa correspondent. While discussing, this Opeyemi mentioned there's going to be, or should I say Comrade Opeyemi, there's going to be a gift provision during the program. Who are getting this provision of gifts? Let's know.
So the gift will be, or do you want to take a bunch of questions first? Or should I answer?
No, I think let's just answer this.
So the gift will be for the skits makers, the content creators. So the idea is, it's a competition, if you think about it that way. So they're pitching. So we'll give them a topic. We haven't decided on the topic, but local government might be one of them. Justice might also be another one. We've seen what has happened in the last 1 week with the children that were arrested, kept in jail for over 90 days. So we might do something around our criminal justice system or our prison system. So we'll give them a topic, and then on that day, they'll come and do a 2-minute, it can be comedy, it can be drama, it can be song, but they'll create content to help pass on a governance message. And the voters will vote, and they will give a gift. So we're leaving, Task hasn't announced, Task will do an unveiling next week on what the process will be, what they will give as gifts and all of that, but that's where the gifts will come. Everybody else that comes, we'll give them lunch.
There was lunch.
And we're talking gifts. They'll get lunch. They might get a pen or two.
And then our RSVP office of
citizen, they will get a passport.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll get something. But the ones that are creating content, their own something will just be special.
The ones doing the creative hackathon.
Exactly.
All right, thank you. Our gentleman of the press from Inspiration.
Okay. Good morning again. My name is Ismail from Inspiration. So your explanations have been quite expansive. There's barely any crumbs to pick up, but just to give us a bit more insight into what the program is about and then what it seeks to address. What will you say is a key issue that you say this whole project is trying to address, that you've identified that is relative to our current times and current issues that we face? One key issue that you say you're trying to address with this, and then how much youth involvement, since we are talking technology, we're talking about the present and the future, there's a lot of youths are key in this at the moment. So how much key involvement do we have in this as well?
Thank you. I would say if you look at the name of the conference, so if you take out the elements, technology, new media, citizens, and governance, those 4 elements are critical to any conversation in this time. And so the issue that's being addressed is how do the 4 elements work together in a sense for the benefit of mankind. If I want to summarize it, that's pretty much it, really. So, but we've chosen to take it from the demand and the supply side and look at how citizens are demanding and how government is supplying. But ultimately, and then when you combine that, how does that make life better? And that's it. And youth involvement, yeah, certainly, big youth audience. And Budget just did an active citizen festival for anyone who covered it that had, I don't know how many young people in the room. And we'll leverage on Budget's experience to ensure that we get young people to be part of the conversation. And that's why also if we think about the design of it, including things that would appeal to them in terms of content creation and an opportunity to win a prize, including the choice of speakers. Professor Shibajo is someone that young people find accessible in the manner that he speaks and presents issues. So that was also deliberate in inviting someone like him to keynote.
Okay, so yes, let's have.
Oh, please.
Important to also add that there is a Pan-African dimension to it. So you can see clearly that this is deliberate to ensure that this is looking at the whole of Africa and all the contributors and all the important feedback that we get from other countries to again enable, in my own view, Nigerian media to better understand how Africa itself is looking at these particular issues.
Thank you very much. So we have 2 questions, 2 hands. So let's take the lady then.
So thank you. Mr. Joseph, I think you said something about
Mr. Gabriel.
Mr. Gabriel, sorry.
They're both in the Bible, you are right.
Sorry. So you said something about the EIA chatbot. I'm not quite know about it. So are there like some innovative technologies you are planning to showcase at the conference?
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, and that's very good because yes, we have plans to. In our agenda, we already made provision for a marketplace promo that is going to be, explainer video that we will be running as interlude in between sessions. We are going to have some desks where some tech tools that also speak to the whole essence of this conference is going to be displayed, and there will be people there to talk about what these tools and tech products are used for. So yes, you'll be able to, or the participants will be able to have knowledge about all of these tools. And then since you are here today, we can talk more after this conference to introduce you to that bot, because there is a whole lot you can get from it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tncg from Disney Newspaper. I want to take you on the aspect of technology uses for the conference. Looking at the team, or looking at the forum itself, talking about technology, new media, and sports and governance. Now, so much has been said about how technology will be used to drive governance in Nigeria and Africa. So, for me, technology is emerging, and we have a lot of technology currently going on now. So, what aspect of technology are you looking at instead of the emerging technologies? We have the blockchain, we have the AI, we have NFT, that just emerging technologies all out there. So, I want you to focus on which area of technology are we looking at that will drive governance specifically in respect to this conference. Thank you.
So the idea is to explore that, and we're hoping that I'm not an expert yet. So our job is to create a space and a platform, and we're hoping that we're not hoping, we're expecting that the experts that we have invited will be able to then answer the questions that you raise. And I'll give you 2 particular speakers that I think you should look forward to listening to. There's Mohamed Farhat, who coordinates the UN Secretary General's panel on artificial intelligence, so he'll be there. And then we also have Professor Gessi Karui Sabina, who is a professor at the Witt School of Governance. And then you have 2 ministers of ICT as well. So I think those guest panelist speakers will be able to address some of the issues that you've raised and how those are being used in this time. And as I said, our own focus is that by the time you bring the demand side, how citizens are using technology, and you bring the supply side, we have a conversation on how best to use them in the interest of mankind. Because technology, as you rightly said, can be used for good or for evil, and it's in managing that. Anybody that's on Twitter knows that Twitter has changed significantly since Elon Musk took over. It's still the same platform, it's still the same app, but the algorithms have been changed for a different outcome. And those are the things that we need to be mindful of. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, all right. So the lady.
You have questions?
Okay, I'm Chinera Benjamin. I write from the Telegraph newspapers. Talking about making demand for good governance is actually one of the duties of the citizen. For some person, they are kind of skeptical or they are really back because of family consequence imposed. So I would like you to address this. We saw some years when the Twitter space was shut down. Because they are willing to demand for this, but they are being laid back because of the known and unknown
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And when someone asked earlier on about, I think the essence of the technology, for me, it's also this conference. We hope that the conversation will address the imbalance in the demand and the supply side of things. And I mentioned it in my reaction earlier on to say that from the side of the government, it seems like they have harnessed and they are harnessing the use of technology and new media anytime they want the votes, they want to campaign, they want to sell themselves, and then when you switch that to when they that gets into power, using the same platform to engage, it now comes with some consequence that now creates an imbalance, because now people are now careful of what they say. They don't want to be picked up. We have examples of activists that have said something, or journalists, and they've been picked up, locked up. So we are hoping that these are some of the issues that will be out during the conference, and different stakeholders can also then speak to them. And not just speak to them, we'll also be able to learn from different experiences, right? How is it working in Nigeria? How has it worked in Kenya? How has it worked, in different places? And then bringing the perspective of privacy to it, right? What regulation they protect, one, particularly if we take Nigeria, for example, where there is a law that protects or give us platform for freedom of expression, and then it now looks as if, okay, you can express yourself, but there is no freedom after expressing yourself, So, but we believe that the conversation at the conference will address some of these issues.
Alright, so before we go to the next question, just to add that we are having the Federal Minister of Communication, Digital Economy, who is Bosu Tijani. So imagine having someone from the government and you as a citizen. So you get to ask directly and kind of like liars in a way too, because the clampdown usually comes when the government don't understand citizens' point of view, which is one of those things that the conference is also going to entertain. So you see them firsthand and you get assurance that, okay, if I do this, Shay will not come and arrest me, my minister that you are. So yes, just on a lighter note. So we have, I think, 3 more questions. 2. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monsura Abisani. I write from the newspaper. So I've been listening and expecting to hear anything about the disability community, how to educate to integrate them into the conversation. I expect that in this kind of conference we have their representatives, and if possible, an interpreter. So how are we looking to, because the citizen is part of the major crux of this, and they are huge. So I don't want there to be a gap between having people saying that they need and all of that, and we do not have a representative. I've not heard from the panels to other discussions are going to happen at the conference. So how are you looking to integrate people from the disability community to benefit? And also on the conference, there are going to be interpreters, essentially things that will ensure that this part of the citizenry and also benefit from the presentation.
Thank you. I'll take that. So it's a press conference. So in terms of ensuring that what is said at the press conference is communicated to the larger public, expect the media to sort that out. Because it's from the media that they get the content. So is it that there's audio, Is it in the writing, the reading? Is it TV? So for the different platforms, the platforms will ensure that their content is disability friendly on that side. Now on the other side, for those of us that are planning the conference, for conference day, certainly there will be sign language interpreters on the day. The venue is handicap accessible as well. Now on the panel side, we haven't been intentional about that, you're right? I mean, we were looking for subject matter experts. Now in looking for that, I don't ask them what ableness they are. But is there something about our topic that speaks directly to or focuses particularly on? Not necessarily, because if you're talking about artificial intelligence, for example, the expert that's talking about it, I expect the expert to be able to talk about how different classes of people use it and how it works for different classes of people, if you understand. So in terms of, from a conference organizing point of view, yes. For the speaker particularly point of view, because they're subject matter experts, we will assume, but in line with your point, we will ensure that we, in our brief to them, to make sure that they include that when they come to speak. I hope that answers it. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is John from Radio Nigeria. Madam, you spoke about the demand and the supply, demand from people, supply from the government. But recently, the journalists, the media, has been pushed to the precipice by the government through an act, cybercrime 2015. So I would suggest in this conference you find maybe 10 or 15 minutes and put this in and talk about it.
Let me have
how
because we're in a joint group that
and
works
another one now.
on journalists.
Call it cyber stalking, cyber bullying, and all the cyber things, and it is gagging the journalists. So.
But let me push back a little bit. How do you? Is it so that we create time to talk
discuss
about it,
this,
to discuss the attack on journalists?
Yes. Yeah. And again, why take it to Badagry? They don't.
No.
But we thought it was Badagry. It was correctly. It's not to say I don't love Badagry. The truth is, it's just not accessible. Yeah. It's not that we don't like it, but you will spend 4 hours getting there. The zone.
Yeah. So please let's share the accurate information.
Yes, you get a written piece with the details as well.
And thank you for that question or comments. And I believe that these are things that we hope that will come from the participants and deliberation on that day, right? It is going to be a participatory governance that we believe, and what you said is very valid. That is also a law that has now, or that is being used, to target a particular group, particularly the media and the civil society. Not only the media alone, even our group is also being targeted, with that bill. So yes, we believe that day, we'll be glad to have you in the room that day, so that when we have like the minister deliver his address, or even the former president, and then the floor is open for questions, we can put it directly to them. That's one of the things that we believe that this conference platform, that this conference will provide.
But I also think that there's a spotlight on Nigeria. There's the 25 years of democracy in Nigeria and the foreign public. Expectation or vision is that the two speakers there will be able to ensure that they deal extensively with some of the challenges and some of the things you mentioned. So like it also says, it would be good if you're also in the room that day. And perhaps if they don't, you can still push them a bit.
You can remind them.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you. So I think that's it. So yes.
Our online participants, any questions from them?
So let's just check if we have a comment online.
No, nothing.
No. Alright, so we are winding down on the conversation. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. And we'll be moving over to maintaining Yemi as well for the closing remark. She summarizes and gives us call to action.
Thank Thank you, Nancy. Thanks again for making time to come. As I said earlier, the 4 elements of the conversation are critical to where we are both as a country and, as Mr. Joseph said, within the continent. I mean, protests have popped up in different parts of the continent this year alone. In Botswana, they just had an election where opposition leader Underdog was able to win. I think the government had been there for almost 60 years, and this was the first time somebody from another party is now president. Paul Kagame perennially winning election. I think this is his fifth term in office. Ghana is trying they have elections on the 7th, and they're trying some new things with technology as part of the process. So the continent is going through a lot and changing and evolving, and technology, new media, citizens, and governance are quite intertwined. And so this conference provides us a platform to look at the demand side, to look at the supply side, and have a conversation about how we make the continent, Nigeria and the continent, better for us all. So please, you'll get a written document that has the website, so you can encourage your readers, listeners to register. For those who are watching maybe this clip, the website is tech.newmedia.gov, and you can register. It's free, registration is free, but we ask that you register. Oh, sorry, I wanted to. Oh, sorry. Yes, please, can we say? Sorry. Please, guys, one house. Sorry, and I wanted to particularly thank our media partners, Business Day, News Central, Premium Times, The Cable, Tech Cabal, and Women Radio. Thank you for joining us. And for our funders, Paradigm Initiative used to be a co-host, but they are funding us this year, and also the Center for International Private Enterprise. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, and the host. Yeah. Oh,